Hey, it's the weekend. Let's have a little chat here this Saturday. Good morning, everyone. I am currently waiting for my grill to heat up. I'm just going to throw on a strip steaks this morning because I had a great deal on a strip loin at Costco, and so I broke it down this morning. I got uh, 11 steaks and then a pretty good size strip loin roast, and that'll be nice. It's kind of like a when you don't want to pay the money for a rib roast, but you still want something good to eat for like a nice sit-down family meal. And so that's what I did with that. Uh, at one part of the end of the strip roast, you start seeing where like a nerve bundle comes in, and it's just not as tasty as a steak, but it breaks down just fine in a slow smoke. So that was my choice. And so this morning, I'm going to have my strip steak. I'm not going to worry about showing you my food today. It's nothing new. We've seen my steaks multiple times, and then this afternoon I'm gonna have a great big old egg pudding. So, yeah, that's my food today: steak and eggs. Um, but I wanted to take this opportunity to then be able to talk to you a little bit about elimination diets and something that we forget to talk about in our little ketogenic circle, a reintroduction. Uh, There are lots of reasons to do a plan like a BBBE, but I mean, it's not really the traditional elimination diet, but it does sort of work like one. And so I thought it would be good for us to get into it a little bit. So, first, why would you do an elimination diet? So, and what is an elimination diet, you might be wondering? An elimination diet is exactly what it sounds like. It's taking away a whole bunch of foods in order to troubleshoot things you're experiencing. Uh, Maybe you have fatigue or miscellaneous rashes or headaches or gastrointestinal issues, or you experience a lot of inflammation. Um, or maybe you have food addictive problems that you're trying to get in touch with your satiety. These are why you would do an elimination diet. So you've taken out massive swaths of food groups, and in this case, popular in ketogenic circles is the beef, butter, bacon, eggs. Know that after like the first week or so, if you are still having a lot of struggle with some of your symptoms, drop your egg whites and take it back even further. It sucks, I know, but basically what you're doing with this elimination diet is you're kind of making your body into its own little test lab. So it's really important that you're adherent and strict about it, which I know sucks and makes it not as fun, but it is what it is. So you go into this and you're thinking that you need to solve problems, but at the end, we're going to have to reintroduce. And it means, what are we trying to do? So, first of all, during the course of your days, know that elimination diets need to be done at least 30 days, sometimes longer. 30, 60, 90-day stints are normal for elimination diets. And we think of the elimination part in these stints, but also it extends because the reintroduction part takes time, or it should, uh, especially if you are troubleshooting things for food sensitivities or allergies or your intolerances. And yes, I said all three of those because they're not the same. Food intolerances, they're not life-threatening things like an allergy, but it is painful and uncomfortable, where you get your headaches and your bloating and you really don't feel great. So a really good example of that are people who are lactose intolerant. they have a lot of problems when they ingest lactose, especially in that gas and bloating area. We're going to talk some more about that because reintroduction can trick you to thinking you have intolerance when it's actually part of the reintroduction, and I'll talk to you about how you recognize the difference. Food sensitivities. So that's a reaction that are immunoglobulin G, I had to think that slow in my head, mediated. So again, so now we're talking about headaches, rashes, inflammation, digestive problems, fatigue. Really with the intolerance, you're not getting rashes. You're getting bloating and tummy issues and some pain in your body. Whereas the sensitivities, you're getting the whole 9 yards, the headaches, the rashes, a swelling, plus possibly some other things. That's because your body can't tolerate certain foods, and they're often hard to identify because it takes a couple days for it to show up after you've eaten your food. Now we're getting into that reintroduction thoughts again. But a common one for that is wheat and gluten. A lot of people are sensitive to gluten and wheat. They also have intolerance, but sensitivity to wheat is more broadband. And allergies. Allergies are an immune reaction to the food, and it's immediate and severe. So like they can cause anaphylactic shock, they can stop you from breathing, you can get immediate hives all over. It's an antibody reaction, so those you will take note, you need to know right away. That can often be identified outside of the Elimination Food Plan by getting allergy tests, but also that's why there's a big deal about like peanut allergies, things like that, because that's not a sensitivity or intolerance, it's life-threatening. So those are that. And of course, then, as I mentioned, if you have food addictive issues, elimination diets can help with that, sort of. If your issue is overconsumption, if you have a disease like anorexia, it's possible that an elimination food plan might be very unhealthy for you, and you need to work with your medical professionals and counselors about that. Also, disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor. I am just a geek on the internet, so make sure you talk about all these things with your medical professional. Don't just take my word for it. Double check. Don't take medical advice from randos on the internet. I know we've said it before, but just double check in here, so it's just one of those things. So remember that you have objectives here. The reason you would do an elimination diet is multifaceted, and you're experimenting on yourself. The other thing is, like I said, when I mentioned like the pain and stuff like that, that I have my rheumatoid arthritis and I'm a cancer survivor and all of these things. So I do experience a lot of pain, and some of it is exacerbated by the foods I've eaten. And this year, just taking the extra step to go ahead and follow through with this, the whole 9 yards, and see if I can't pinpoint and troubleshoot some better choices I can make to help with my symptom reductions. Now, no, my diet alone is not treatment for rheumatoid arthritis and Raynaud's. You still need to follow all of the regular medical care, but I'm hoping that I can at least get some symptom relief. Symptom relief is not the same thing as disease treatment, so I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. Dietary is not a solution for everything. It does help with symptom relief of many things, and it does, in fact, resolve some medical diseases. So, let's see. I wanted to mention, though, things that you really need to make sure that you are avoiding in those first stages. Make sure that the very popular things that you're going to be very careful with are gluten, shellfish, soy, tree nuts, legumes, and then we often have to eliminate things like coffee, alcohol, and sugars, in which case, if you're on a ketogenic food plan, you're already out with the sugars, but they can't be part of your elimination diet. And I know a lot of people ask why. Why do we not have caffeine, or why is it so limited? Why only one coffee experience? And so, because very, very little people have issues with coffee, but it's important that you reduce it massively. And that is, first, it's going to help with some behaviors, but also because it impacts diet, and it's a stimulant. So they get in the way of figuring out which foods are triggering your immune response. So that's why. So, and it also is an appetite suppressant. And so you need to, in order to achieve your goals, unfortunately, it's got to go. So let's get to the nitty-gritty. Food sensitivities set off your immune system, and it affects your entire body, and so on and so forth. Remember that the reason we have gut responses is because that's your guard between your internal systems and your body. And if it's no good, then your body's working to get rid of it. So that's what, that's why I mentioned before all of the things we're looking for: your rashes, headaches, fatigue, soft tissue pains, things like that. So you got to be very careful. But now, eventually, you have to bring things back in for your experiment, right? To find what you are actually immune to. Find out what is actually causing you problems. And a big mistake that happens is that people reintroduce. They're like, great, I did my 30-day elimination plan, let's eat. And they don't think about how to reintroduce. So it's not as exciting as you might think. If you know, if you know ahead of time that you are sensitive to things like gluten, you never reintroduce it. You already know, and that's already gone forever. But what you should do is, you should know that when you reintroduce your food, it's going to take a long time. You're going to do one food at a time, and you have to consume a lot of it over the course of a couple days, 2-3 days. And because first, as you introduce a new food, you may experience a little bit of tummy troubles, just because your body's like, hey, new and different, and freaking out. But give yourself 24, 48, 72 hours, and keep eating that food. Keep eating it, and that's what's going to give you your immune response triggers. It's either going to normalize and you'll be fine, you'll have had some toots, and then you'll be like, oh, okay, we like this chicken still, okay, or salmon, or whatever it is. Now, then you can go back and you eat all of the foods that you're eating plus that one. And the next thing is you introduce one more food, and you do it all over again, a large amount of that. And so it takes some while. And if you weren't sure about something, well, actually, my opinion is that when you start reintroducing, the next food you take in should be something you really like. For example, I've been thinking about my reintroduction. I definitely, I know that I want it to be either like a salmon, because I really could just use a different protein, and I really like salmon, and it tastes great. It goes well with all of the other foods. It has a lot of variety to it, and I feel like that's a good one. And following that, I think then, I don't know, I'm on the fence about whether my flavored electrolytes are too risque to reintroduce right away, but I'm really thinking about it. So it takes time, but you have to do it. And it's the parts that we don't talk about are that eating a larger amount of it. Like when I reintroduce my salmon, let's say, okay, The end of my elimination is on the 16th. So the 17th, 18th, and 19th, I'm going to eat salmon twice a day at least. And not just like a couple little tastes. I'm going to eat myself 2 giant fillets. They're going to be a big part of my meal, maybe with some fried eggs that I've already eaten and determined I don't have sensitivity to. And so by the 19th, I should have a pretty good feel about what my body's experiencing with that salmon. And so now I've got myself a list then of my foods: my beef, butter, bacon, eggs, salmon. It's ready to reintroduce something else. How about, oh, and you want to be gentle on yourself, but I'm thinking at that point then, I'm thinking like, let's do another meat and let's do some chicken. Now, chicken is multifaceted. You need to reintroduce it twice. First your dark meat, then your white meat, or vice versa. And I'm not fond of breast meat, so I don't even know if I'll bother. I might just do the dark meat. But it's the same thing. 2 to 3 days, 24, 48. So, on the 19th, I've determined that I'm good with my salmon. But then I'm going to eat, on the 20th, I'm going to eat 20 and 21st, I'm going to eat chicken. I'm going to eat my chicken thighs and chicken legs. And I'm going to have thighs and legs, thighs and legs, thighs and legs, thighs and legs. And by then I should know. A lot of people panic because they throw down like a whole rotisserie chicken when they reintroduce it and they don't feel good and they think, oh no, I'm reacting to chicken. It's gone forever. But again, you have to do your dark meats, then your light meats. And it does take a couple days. So, and you'll find that that will go away. After the chicken, I believe that I'm going to go for an aged cheese, a cheddar, something, that's been aged so it's lower in lactose. But I find that adds high value to my diet. And so, think carefully about which foods you want to reintroduce. Be aware that you're going to have a length of time where you need to work with it. I know that's not happy news. But also, if you feel like you're in touch with your satiety, make your own choices. But this is the well-known elimination diet reintroduction way to do it. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you because we never talk about it. Also, I have to recommend, as you're going through these, make sure you speak to a trained medical doctor who can help guide you and work with you. Also, that way you can see if you can get your labs drawn, because we often talk a great deal about how if you're eating proper, you don't need supplements, but you should make sure that you don't need a supplement. Our bodies are a laboratory, and you're going through stuff, and you're going through a restriction, and you can easily find yourself in a deficit for K, D3, B12, B6, and your omega-3s. So make sure that you are on top of that, and be sure that you supplement if you need to. So that's everything. That's our elimination diet today. So I will talk to you tomorrow. I'm going to go to, I know what I forgot to tell you. So I'm skipping on my coffee experience this morning because we are going to the tea house to play Go with friends. So I'm going to have myself a pot of hearty pu'er tea today. I just feel if I'm going to a tea shop that has specialty teas, that I want to have the best experience I can have for my intake today. So that's it. My strip steak, my egg pudding, and my pu'er tea, plus copious amounts of water and electrolytes. Unflavored electrolytes that are giving me the sads. I just tell you, tastes like dirt. All right. I love you guys. Bye-bye.